Why smart leaders remove drag before demanding more effort. When execution slows, many leaders respond by asking for more effort, more urgency, more attention, more follow-up, more hours, more ownership. Sometimes additional effort is necessary, but effort does not remove structural drag. If the system is carrying too many priorities, too many meetings, too many approvals, too much reporting, and too much unresolved work, asking people to push harder may produce a temporary burst. It will not create durable performance. The organization may move faster for a few weeks. High performers may absorb more. Managers may work around the bottlenecks. Deadlines may be rescued, but the structure remains unchanged. When the pressure ends, the problem returns. This is why smart leaders remove drag before demanding more effort. Structural drag is the friction created by the arrangement around the work. It slows decisions, consumes capacity, creates rework, expands coordination, and converts effort into activity that does not reliably improve the outcome. Structural drag often looks ordinary. A project continues because nobody formally ended it. A meeting survives because removing it feels risky. A report remains because someone might need it. An approval stays in place long after the incident that created it has passed. A new priority is added without an old priority being retired. None of these decisions appears catastrophic. Together, they make the organization heavy. The team still looks active. Calendars are full. Updates are frequent. People are responsive. But completion slows. More work remains in progress. Decisions take longer. Cross-functional coordination expands. Leaders begin asking why the team lacks urgency. The team may not lack urgency. It may lack usable capacity. That distinction matters. A true effort problem exists when capable people have adequate clarity, authority, capacity, and resources, but still fail to apply reasonable discipline. A structural load problem exists when people are expected to deliver through accumulated friction. Leaders should not confuse the two, because the solutions are different. An effort problem may require direct feedback, clearer standards, or consequence. A structural load problem requires removal. More pressure applied to structural overload creates a familiar cycle. Execution slows. Leadership increases urgency. The organization produces a temporary burst. People work around the system. The immediate outcome may improve. Then exhaustion and accumulated work reduce capacity again. Execution slows once more. The organization concludes that the team needs another push, but the structure never changed. Pressure became the operating model. High performers often hide this problem. They absorb additional work first. They stay later, take on the difficult project, attend the extra meeting, fix the handoff, rewrite the report, translate the unclear direction, protect the customer, compensate for the missed commitment. Because they are capable, the result may remain stable. Leadership sees acceptable performance. The system appears to be working. But what leadership is observing may not be system health. It may be human compensation. That compensation is fragile. It depends on a small number of people continuing to carry the load that the structure should have removed. Eventually, one of three things happens. The high performer reduces effort, leaves, or continues compensating while quality, judgment, and engagement weaken. By then, leaders may describe the problem as burnout or retention. Those are real outcomes. But the earlier signal was structural accumulation. Too much work was allowed to remain active. Accumulation is one of the most common sources of drag. New priorities arrive, old priorities stay. New processes are added, old processes remain. New controls appear. Temporary safeguards become permanent. The organization says everything matters. But when everything matters, priorities do not exist. A priority is not something leadership says is important. A priority is something the organization protects through resource allocation and visible trade-offs. If a new priority is added and nothing stops, the priority was not truly set. The load was increased. This is why real prioritization requires subtraction. What will stop? What will be delayed? What will lose funding? Which meeting disappears? Which report ends? Which approval is removed? Which project is formally retired? Without those decisions, prioritization is only language. The organization is expected to absorb the difference. Meetings are one common source of hidden drag. A meeting may have been useful when an issue was unstable. Then the issue changes. The meeting remains. Attendance expands. Preparation grows. The purpose becomes less clear, but nobody wants to remove it because the meeting creates reassurance. The same is true of reporting. A report is added after a surprise. A dashboard appears after a difficult review. A new update is created for visibility. Months later, people are still preparing the material, even though it no longer changes a meaningful decision. The organization is producing artifacts because the artifacts survived, not because they remain useful. Approvals create similar weight. A control is introduced after a visible mistake. The immediate risk passes. The control remains. Routine decisions now require extra review. The review creates delay. The delay creates escalation. The escalation pulls leaders deeper into operating work. Leadership bandwidth shrinks. What began as protection becomes permanent friction. Rework is another form of drag. Poor information flow creates late clarification. Unclear authority creates reopened decisions. Competing priorities create partial completion. Vague standards create revision. Teams appear busy because they perform the work more than once. That is not a commitment problem, it is an architectural cost. Strong leaders make these costs visible. They do not begin by asking, how do we get people to move faster? They ask, what is making movement harder than it needs to be? What work is active without earning continued permission? What recurring coordination exists because ownership is unclear? What reporting consumes time without changing decisions? What approval remains after the risk that justified it disappeared? Where are people redoing work because the signal, authority, or standard was not clear the first time? Those questions identify drag. Then leadership must remove it visibly. Private subtraction is not enough. If leaders quietly stop attending a meeting, but the meeting continues, the system has not changed. If a priority is verbally downgraded, but teams continue reporting on it, it remains active. If an approval is supposedly optional, but people still fear acting without it, authority has not been restored. Removal must be explicit. This initiative is ending. This meeting is canceled. This report is retired. This approval is removed. This commitment no longer competes for capacity. That clarity creates relief, but it also creates credibility. The organization sees that focus is being enforced. A useful first step is the 5-item subtraction audit. Identify one initiative you would not approve if it were proposed today. One recurring meeting that no longer changes a decision. One report that creates more noise than clarity. One approval that remains mainly because it has always been there. And one commitment nobody has formally retired. For each item, ask 2 questions. What decision, outcome, or material risk does this protect? And what would actually break if it stopped? Do not ask whether someone likes it. Do not ask whether it once had value. Ask whether it still earns its cost. Then remove at least one item. Not study it indefinitely. Not place it into another review. Remove it. After removal, return the capacity to the most important work. Do not immediately fill the space with another initiative. That is how organizations undo subtraction before it has time to improve performance. Protect the freed capacity. Measure whether decisions move faster, whether completion improves, whether meeting load declines, whether leaders regain time for design rather than adjudication, whether high performers stop carrying invisible overflow. The goal is not to make work easy. Durable performance still requires discipline, clear expectations, strong judgment, real accountability, and consistent standards. The goal is to remove unnecessary difficulty so effort can reach the outcome. Healthy demand strengthens capability. Structural drag wastes it. Smart leaders know the difference. They do not lower standards merely because the team is strained. They remove the friction leadership has allowed to accumulate. Then, they evaluate effort honestly. Before asking people to carry more, they examine what the system should stop making them carry. That is structural leadership. It protects attention, restores capacity, improves decision velocity, and makes strong performance less dependent on exhaustion and heroics. If this way of thinking is useful, visit curtisstoaks.com. The books, essays, drift diagnostic, and practical tools behind the durable performance system go deeper into structural drag, focus, subtraction, authority, accountability, and organizational performance. Subscribe to this channel for more videos on how leaders build performance that lasts. Because when capable people are fighting the system, more pressure is not the first answer. Remove the drag. Then ask what disciplined performance should look like.